And welcome back to this lesson. In the previous lesson, I started talking about loops in JavaScript and the fundamental of loops, and I started talking about the type of loops that we have in JavaScript and picked for loop as number one to discuss. And under that for loop, there's a definition that says that the for loop is used when the number of iterations is known, which gave an instance or a context of where this loop is useful and needed. So the context is that when you know the number of iterations that is expected, for loop is an handy fundamental for a task that involves that, and that it consists of three expressions: one for execution, the one for initialization, which happens before the execution of code block, one for the condition for executing the code block, and the last for increment expressions, which is executed every time a code block has been executed. So going forward from here, it will be very nice for us to see an example of a for loop in action. So let's dive in and take a look at an example of this in a JavaScript code. JavaScript for loop. JavaScript loop and the for loop is used when the number of iterations is known. Is used when the number of iterations is known. So let's just make an empty string. Make an empty string which will contains the output of the loop result. So this is the empty string, and this is where the result of the loop will be stored after its execution. And then I can start with the for keyword and my expression one. What does it say the expression one is? The expression one is for initialization, so which is the beginning of the loop, even before the code inside it is executed. So it's usually something like set something to begin at 0, which is like the default of where the execution is 0. So it's very common that you will see something like I equals to 0, or you see it declared with a variable name. So let I equals to 0. So this is your initialization of a for loop. So this is the initialization, and this expression is executed one time before the execution of the code block to check where the loop should start from. So once you have this condition set, once you have this expression set, then the next one will be the condition. Under what condition should this loop run? So let's say I want to get values of all numbers that are less than 5. So this is a condition. So I have set this condition. So I can say, okay, I less than 5 in condition where I is less than 5. So what I'm basically saying is that after you check for this, which is the starting point, the initialization, once you check for this, now begin to use this to evaluate the condition that I have in my code. And if this condition is true that I have set, then at every point until it reaches the end of the loop, you can begin to increment the value by 1. And once you have this, then you can now have the body for your for loop. And inside it, what do I want? I want to put the output in the text that I have made up initially. So I can say, okay, the number, which is what I'm expecting from the condition, is, then I can pass in the results that will come up, I, and then I can add a break so that everything can be on a single line. So with this, I can just come down and get the output. Now, get the output from the loop. And how do I do that? Document dot get element by id demo one dot now one dot now html equals to text. And now you can see it. The number is 0, the number is 1, the number is 2, the number is 3, and the number is 4. So the way for loop work is that it will begin to evaluate this condition one by one with the precondition, with the initialization that has been set. So when it starts from 0, is 0 less than 5? Yes. You see it will add it. Then it will move on to the next number. So it will increase this by 1. Is 1 less than 5? Yes, it is. It will increase this to 2. Is 2 less than 5? That's the purpose of this increment, this last expression. Yes, it is. It will print it. Then it will increment it again to 3. Is 3 less than 5? Yes, it is. Now, it will increment it again. Is 4 less than 5? Yes, it is. This is why you are seeing it on the screen. Then when it gets here, when it increments from 4 to 5, is 5 less than 5? That is false. So it will not add it, which means that the execution will only apply to values that are under 10. But if I increase this to like 15, now see what will happen. You will see that the result as well will increase. You can see. So, and I can as well set conditions that will say, okay, if it's equal or if it is greater, I can as well, execute it in that format. So what I have as less than here can be greater than, and then the value here will as well change, and it will give us a desired output even at that as well. As long as your condition is met, then everything that you have here will begin to work. So this is how the for loop works in JavaScript. Thank you, and I'll see you again in the next lesson.